Colorado, thousands paused to remember the victims of last week's school shootings. And NATO concludes its summit with a promise to protect Yugoslavia's neighbors. From CNN in Atlanta, seen live around the world, this is Worldview. Hello, I'm Donna Kelly. We will have the latest developments in the strike against Yugoslavia and the NATO summit in just a few moments. But first, we go to CNN's Martin Savage in Littleton, Colorado, where a memorial service was held on Sunday for victims of last week's school shootings. Marty?
Donna, that memorial service concluded about an hour ago, and it was heavily attended. The crowd estimates are put at 70,000 plus people. As you looked out on the sea of faces of people who were there were whole entire families, lots of children that were there. There were flowers. You could see at times people leaning upon one another as they tried to come to grips with the tragedy that has settled upon Littleton, Colorado. There was a whole host of government leaders, both local and, in some cases, federal officials, including Vice President Al Gore, who spoke. Many of them spoke with emotion. One of them was Pat Holloway. She was a Jefferson County commissioner. As she spoke, her voice was choking, talking about the memories of the young people who will not be forgotten.
The lives we mourn today have great meaning, and their influence will be felt long after we leave here today. Someone once said, people come into our lives and quickly go. Some stay for a while and leave footprints on our hearts, and we are never, ever the same again.
There was another striking scene immediately after the memorial service ended as a huge procession made its way, the 70,000 plus people joining in to a memorial here at Clement Park. That is a makeshift memorial that has sprung up. There are memorials like this all over. There is one actually behind us here up against the fence, right against Columbine High School. It began appearing yesterday. It has grown ever since then. People attend to it almost every hour of day and night. Candles, balloons, notes, messages, and flowers. As the crowds gather there, they stop, they read, they add, they move on, and almost all are completely silent. CNN's Ann McDermott.
Luxury.
NATO's 50th anniversary commemoration is winding down this hour. CNN's Ralph Begleiter reports on what the 19 member states decided.
We meet at a time of crisis in Kosovo.
NATO's meeting with non-members from Kazakhstan to Albania was unprecedented. Even before it was over, President Clinton spent an hour on the phone briefing Boris Yeltsin.
President Yeltsin and the Russians are very serious about trying to find a peaceful solution. President Clinton encouraged President Yeltsin to do so, and I think there will be continuing contacts over the days ahead.
The Washington summit ended with agreement to intensify and expand the pressure on Yugoslavia by intensifying the air war, tightening the oil embargo, actively engaging Russia on the diplomatic front, drafting a UN Security Council resolution to give the whole operation new legitimacy, and building up ground troops ready to secure Kosovo and enforce peace when the war ends.
The NATO allies are conscious.
The NATO allies hope to make up for Russia's absence at the Washington summit by leaning on Moscow now.
We want not only to win the conflict, and we're going to win it, but we want to start preparing for the diplomacy that's going to come after, and working with Russia is a key part of that.
German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder said diplomacy, not just war, is being emphasized again.
We must build on the many...
The NATO summiteers are already planning for post-war recovery, including massive economic aid for the frontline states who've taken in Kosovo's refugees and hosted NATO troops, building a Kosovo enforcement force like the one in Bosnia, re-establishing political institutions in Kosovo, restoring good relations with Russia, and continuing to expand NATO membership.
We will work toward the day when all the people of the region, including the Serbs now suffering under reckless tyranny, enjoy freedom and live together.
NATO did not issue any new invitations to would-be members. It offered a detailed checklist of requirements for aspiring members, some of whom could be admitted to NATO in a few years. Allied diplomats believe the next few weeks will be critical and complicated. Will NATO come out of this conflict with a new reputation for making war or for securing human rights and peace? Ralph Begleiter, CNN, reporting live from the NATO summit in Washington.
NATO warplanes pounded Yugoslav targets for another day on Sunday as newly arriving Kosovo refugees brought more accounts of murdered villagers. In Albania, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark met with alliance troops. He said the Apache helicopter gunships would see action soon as NATO ratchets up the pressure on Yugoslav forces.
Well, I think the air campaign is right on schedule, really. We said it would be a serious and sustained effort. We said it would progressively intensify. We've more than doubled the aircraft that are engaged. We're bringing in additional reconnaissance means and others, and I think we're having an effect. As I said in Washington a couple of days ago, we're winning. Milosevic is losing, and he knows it.
NATO warplanes also knocked Serb TV off the air for the second time in 3 days, but it was back on the air in parts of Belgrade within hours. For the refugees in one Macedonian camp, the location alone may